Hello and welcome to the 3inMidfield podcast, the podcast where three friends who all enjoy blah 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 blah. It's live. I can't. That's the first time. I can't believe that.
Oh,
No.
Wow. Moving like Arteta on the weekend. Crazy.
Oh, let me not laugh.
Oh no!
I can't believe I messed it up.
You got this, Kelman. You got this.
It's okay. It's okay. Recover.
Yeah.
It was bound to happen. It was bound to happen one time. I'm glad that we got it out of the way, but I'm not glad because of the weekend's results. But anyway, you have a present coach, Coach -1. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, man. What are you saying?
I'm messing up already, so that doesn't look good for the rest of the podcast. But it is what it is. It is what it is, I guess. James, without the video, joins us. How you doing? One more time again.
I'm good, thank you. I hope everyone's well, and I'll make sure to get that camera next time round.
Absolutely. And we are joined for the first time by Tanya. How you doing?
I mean, I've been better. Let's just say that. But I'm pleased to be here. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast today. So yeah, gonna get into all things Tottenham, which will be fun. We shall.
What shall we do, Coach? Should we go straight into that game? I mean, it was Sunday.
Why not? Let's do it. Why not?
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
That is the key fixture of the weekend. Even though Everton also beat Liverpool, but I think this holds more weight this weekend. Wouldn't you say, Coach?
Yeah. I completely agree. You know,
West Ham 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Goals from Mikel Antonio, Jesse Lingard, and Lucas Moura.
You stop that right now. I can't. Man United fans have just been loving every minute of this. Oh, you didn't want Jesse Lingard. You've got egg on your face now. I've had it all, mate. I've had it all. You stop it right there. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
What it is? It's the London-based Manchester United fan. The Manchester.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, it's true.
That's what we're doing. Okay.
It's these glory hunters that just want to celebrate.
Right, kill. Remind me, who did you support when you were a kid?
Arsenal, innit, bro? I don't know what you're talking about.
There wasn't a team beforehand, no?
From when I was 6 to current times, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Not Manchester United at all.
No.
Talking out now.
But of course, we'll start. I was saying we start with the positive. Let's go to you, James. West Ham currently in the form. Well, maybe of your life, probably of the club's life, to be honest, because I've never known West Ham to be this good. What's been happening? Is it all down to David Moyes, or do the players have to get some of the credit as well?
Oh, definitely has to be both of them. I don't know what Moyes has been doing. I think I tweeted not a while ago. I said whatever West Ham have been drinking, they need to keep drinking it. But also, I read the other day, I said that Declan Rice, I think he has stepped up as an individual, and I think it's evident in what he's doing on the pitch, but apparently what he's doing off the pitch. He's bringing, I think in the last couple of seasons, that's for sure, there's been like a massive divide. You always see it, that you kind of got groups of players that don't necessarily integrate too well with the team, and I don't know whether that's a language barrier or just a general divide within the team, but he's like the glue. And you can see it because normally loan players that do come to a club, certainly like Lingard, who have, in a way, if you want to call it a step down for them, to kind of rejuvenate. Let's be honest, he wasn't playing at United. So let's be honest, it was a way of him to effectively reignite his ambitions to get back into the United team. So normally you'd think he'd come in, he'd kind of get a bit part and kind of go back. But you look at the kind of relationship he's built with Lingard, and even some of the maybe quote unquote foreign players that you maybe wouldn't imagine. So like Fornals, Ben Rama seems to gelled quite well. Personally, when I see Ben Rama, you think actually he'd want to be playing week in, week out, but he normally starts on the bench. And that normally that you'd think frustrates players, but you see when he comes on that mentality's gone, and I think it is because of Declan and also what David Moyes is doing.
Mikel Antonio, I haven't said it on record, but I'll say it now. I feel like he's probably easily one of the best strikers in the Premier League right now. because he just he doesn't really do anything special, but he just does his job, and he's I don't know how many goals he's got personally. Let me find out for you. But is he the player? Is he one of the reasons why you're firing so nicely right now? Because I mean, how many goals has he got? He's only got 6 goals in the Premier League, to be honest. 6 goals.
No, but
Best striker in the league, yeah.
I know when he said that, I thought he's probably originally isn't he a winger?
Gil, whilst you're there, can you also check how many goals Marshall has before I continue later on?
Let's wait. I was gonna say, okay, I'll rephrase that question. Maybe not one of the best strikers in the league, but he does his job. Can we all agree that he does?
Yeah, he does.
Well, and he's probably one of the most dangerous physically in the league. There we go. Okay, I rephrased that. I recovered.
You redeemed yourself, yeah.
I did redeem myself. I do apologize for that. But anyway, he does his job, like I was saying. So when he's in the team, what does he bring that frightens defenders? Would you say?
He's like a Walcott on steroids, to put it bluntly. Because no, what it is.
Wow, what an analogy!
Think about he's got hamstrings of like glass because they ping left, right, and center, right? But what it is, he's mostly comparable to Adama Traore. No one can deal with strength and no one can deal with speed, but when you combine them together, it's a problem. And I think with Antonio's maybe negatives previously was like his shooting, his kind of his choices were not necessarily the best, and I think where he's having to fulfill a void that we've kind of created ourselves, because we actually technically don't have a senior striker apart from himself, although I would always say he's actually a winger. I wouldn't actually say he's a striker. In a way, he's kind of doing the best, but also I think it allows him to flourish and show what he's good at by doing it at the top of the pitch. You know, like at times his shooting has been questionable, but you know, at the end of the day, it's what he does off the ball that causes more havoc.
Top 4. Are you? I mean, it seems extremely unlikely, knowing West Ham's history. I'm not going to pull punches. I mean, we got 2 chokers in terms of team supporting on the podcast. So you are typically a choker.
The thing is, I wouldn't even say we're a choking team, because choking implies we are meant to be better and we, you know, bottle it. You know, I'm not going to name other teams that are very good at that.
Got my bottle right here. Got my bottle. Bottle job FP.
Oh, was it? I had my insult ready there. I was going to say, where are you in the table? 126.
Honestly, I can't believe a West Ham fan is bantering me right now. Top 4, you know. Top 4. What is this season?
It's crazy.
I actually can't. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. Anyway, sorry. Continue, James. Sorry.
No, I think.
Are you confident that you are going to sustain top 4?
Oh no, I think it's delusional to think that. I think you speak to any West Ham fan, whilst yes, we'd want that. I think realistically, in the long run, I think that would fundamentally hurt us if we actually somehow miraculously ended up top 4. You look at teams like Wolves, where they smashed it. They were a deadly team. Suddenly introduce a kind of a consistent fixture list in Europe. It now becomes a problem because your squad isn't necessarily adapted to deal with that. So I think, to answer your question, it'd be wrong for me to say no, because deep down, you know, you want your team to do the best they can, but at the same time, you have to be realistic and understand actually in the long run, whilst it's a nice to have now, yeah, we can celebrate it, but come next season, are we going to get top 4 again? Very unlikely. Let's be honest, it's going to be very unlikely. And the last thing we want to do is head the other way because we can't deal with the extra games. You know, some of the better teams like Liverpool who are struggling with injuries are struggling because of this. Now, if they didn't have all those extra games, could you argue that they might be in a better position in the league? Yes, maybe no. So, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, no, I don't think we will sustain it. But as long as we end the overall season on a positive note, and we're out the FA Cup now, so that's not really a dream. So I think if we can realistically look to finish between maybe 5th and 8th, I know 5th is ambitious, but that is kind of my stretch target. And then obviously, I don't want to finish like maybe 10th or 11th because that's where we typically finish anyway. So I want it to end to show that actually this has been a very good season for us.
West Ham fans, man, damned if you do, damned if you don't. What's Golden Sullivan must be ripping out their hair because you guys were complaining last year. Oh, we're struggling.
No. It's still a struggle. Now, okay, you tell me this, right? The last transfer season that's gone, which is January, we actually made a loss on our registered striker in Allaire. We sold him for, I can't remember, it was about 25 million. We bought him in 40 million. And now that was a fairly swift exit. Yeah. And we didn't even bring in anyone on loan. Now, considering, like I said, Antonio's injury list is predominantly focused around his hamstrings. Now, you take hamstrings out of the equation, what good is a footballer, you know? And then the next person we have that's technically striker is, I think it's one of the youth lads who I think he came on in the FA Cup against United, and then he got slung kind of before the end, which, you know, that's another topic on whether that was right or wrong. But the problem is you're then forcing a younger individual to perhaps take on a lot more than he needs to, which for his career may cause detriment. You could argue it might not, because if you look at how Kane had come about on the scene, Tottenham didn't necessarily have that many strikers. He came on and he hit the ground like sprinting, not running, sprinting. But that's not always going to work. So I think, you know, look, I'll easily hold my hands up and say, look, there are times when the owners do what they should do and maybe sometimes exceed it. But I think the problem is more often than not, they don't. They really undercut. You know, there's so many things you could, you know, pick at and this and that. Why didn't we even, like, Diego Costa's not got a club? Bring him in. At least then he's a recognised striker who has played in the Premier League that does bits. But we haven't done that, you know. So
I don't think he wanted that smoke, to be honest with you. I think he would have absolutely hammered everybody in that club.
That's the thing. I think we've been lucky that, you know, touch wood, that actually we haven't been hit heavy with injuries in seasons, like some seasons previously we have. Now, if Antonio gets injured, and if, say, key individuals, say Lingard gets the odd knock, you start to take away our attacking prowess. You can't sit back and defend it and hope for the best.
Forever and ever.
I can't do with this, man. I can't.
Well, let's go into Lingard. I think you mentioned earlier a bit of the impact that he had as in your team. Two teams that didn't. Tottenham obviously didn't want him in the transfer window. They thought they were bigger than him. The jokes right themselves. Manchester United didn't want him. They just didn't fit into that current squad, I guess. But Jesse Lingard, he seems to have found a home in West Ham. Is it now because he's hit like you said, he has hit the ground running? Is it now wanting to sign him on a permanent basis, or is it just let's enjoy what he's doing right now?
I think there's no point rushing. You know, at the end of the day, we've got him to the end of the season. You know, that's a given. I think the problem we've got there, whether we want to sign him or not, it's the price tag that gets put on at the end of it. Whether Jesse wants to stay at West Ham, ultimately, you can always be priced out of that move. And as much as I 100% would want to sign him. The impact he's had, whilst he isn't the youngest, and I know he gets linked to being like this eternally young individual, he is in the right age of kind of being in the quote unquote prime. And you kind of want that individual to kind of lead some of the other boys, and you can see it's just clicking. But it comes down to what United, and at the end of the day, United might actually go, let's actually use him in our rotation, and then that just detracts what we can do as a club.
Now there is another team that was connected to that victory.
Who?
There was another team. Yeah, I believe it's Spurs, maybe Tottenham Hotspur.
I can't say I've heard of that team, to be honest.
I haven't heard.
Bottle FC, maybe.
Oh, come off it.
That sounds more. Yeah, that sounds pro. That's. I know that team now. It's the history.
Every time.
Their history.
You love the Tottenham.
I guess because I feel like you've got a lot to say. So I guess there's no need for questions. I just let you go off. Just rant.
Everyone wants to see me rant all the time. I don't know. There's a weird echo. I don't know if it's me. Let me take my headphones out. I don't know if it's me.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
She can't hear us now. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You're muted now.
No.
You're on mute.
I feel like I was getting a weird echo. I feel like it might have been my headphones, but can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? There's so many issues at Tottenham right now. I don't know which one to dissect first.
Let's start with your manager.
No, let's leave that to the very end.
No. Start with the game.
Okay, we'll go with the game first.
I'll find the strength in myself to break the game down. I think the first half, from a Tottenham perspective, was poor, absolutely poor. For me, there was no game plan. We didn't look like we had any ideas going forward, and the goal, regardless if there was a foul on Reguilón, I think defensively it just
that was not a foul. That was not. Sorry, I heard it on. Was it Dion Dublin?
Yeah,
he got the ball.
I think there's an argument for it, but I'm not going to cling on to that. At the end of the day, the defense didn't do their job for that goal. Like Sanchez Maguire, okay? I've said that we have defensive issues. That's obvious, okay? And I know that Jose doesn't have the greatest bunch to pick from. You know, he has to probably choose the best out of a bad bunch, which for me is Toby. And then I'd probably go with Rodon. Dyer Sanchez should be nowhere near this team, nowhere near the starting 11. Sanchez last week was flat on his face against City. I said it on Midnight Vibes last night. Shout out Football Terrace. He had his crucifixion, mate. Done. Rest in peace, bro. I don't see this guy in a Tottenham shirt ever again. Why is he picking him? And this is where you have to blame Jose Mourinho for this. Why does he keep showing loyalty to these players that constantly make defensive mistakes? I know the Reece maybe could have done better for the goal, but the fact of the matter is the defense, again, it's just awful, and they keep costing us week in, week out. But regardless of the defense, I still think Jose needs to take some responsibility for his approach to the game. We bring on in the second half now, because I just want to forget the first half, because I just thought it was poor, and I think we needed to come out more attacking in the second half, but I think we should have had that approach from the jump. We clearly didn't. Second half, he takes off Tanganga, who I think had a decent enough game. Don't know why he's taking him off. He's bringing on Dorothy. That's what we're calling him now, Dorothy, because he's honestly absolutely abysmal. Like Wolves, yeah, they were like, listen, Tottenham, take him. He's an Arsenal agent. He clearly is playing against us.
I forgot about that, actually.
I don't care. He's playing against us for me, because honestly, I could do a better job. No cap, I could do a better job. And I've not even kicked a ball in my life. Anyway, he brings him on, and then he brings Gareth Bale on, who I felt had a really, really good game. Instantly, you could see the team, they just got a lift when he started, when he was on the pitch. He was making things happen. But as soon as he brings on Doherty, look at the second goal. I mean, he weren't solely at fault, but again, the defense, we're so open. We're so easy to play against. And that's the infuriating thing for me. We're so easy to play against. You know, West Ham, I don't even think they needed to get into second gear, to be honest. They could have just seen the game out, which they did. They got their 2 goals. And then, obviously, we did play better in the second half. We had chance after chance. We weren't clinical enough. Mora got a good goal. But too much, too little, too late, man. Why are we taking that approach when we are 2 goals down? That just really winds me up. And
what?
I can't. I just can't watch performances week in, week out. I can't do it.
What do because I remember there was a debate on Twitter. It's like, what would you rather see from a Tottenham side? Would you rather see your side go out and attack, knowing that your defense is actually piss poor, conceding a whole bunch of goals, or continue to play this style of football, which in turn you're kind of losing, but it kind of reassures that you won't concede that many goals? What style would you approve of?
The simple fact of the matter is, I just want to win games, and I don't care how you do it. I just want to win. I wasn't particularly entertained when we were sort of sitting back, hitting teams on the counter attack. It's not a great watch, but we were getting the results. I was great. Listen, the 2-0 against City, I was buzzing. I was happy with that.
Top of the league.
Top of the league. I mean, I didn't think we were going to win the league, but you know,
is that a smart Tottenham fan? Didn't think they were going to win the league. That sounds like a smart Tottenham fan to me.
I certainly didn't. I weren't one of them Tottenham fans. I can't lie. I was loving life at the top, and I was enjoying it while it lasted. But back to your question, I just want to win games, and I just think the approach, Jose needs to adapt. He's not adapting. Find a way to win. We're not winning playing the way we are at the moment. And, you know, we had Kane out for a bit. He didn't try and find a different way of playing without him. Poch, he's proven that he could do that. You know, Son actually thrived when Kane was out. We thrived when Kane was out at times. There was even an argument, do we play better without Kane? I just think, you know, Jose for me is not squeezing every little bit of quality out of these players. Because, no offense to West Ham, right? But I don't think you've got a better team than us. That's just me being real. You can say they've been better than us this season, but overall, player for player, they don't have a better squad than us. I'm sorry, they don't. But
no, I agree.
It all comes down to David Moyes, and that's why I respect David Moyes. He's doing an absolutely brilliant job. Brilliant job. You know, think of where you were last season. So, on Mourinho, is there been any improvement? We finished 6th last season. I was willing to give him a pass because I thought we had injuries, COVID season, you know, fair enough, right? Give him a season where he's got the players that he wants in the summer. We go again. Where's the improvement? We're ninth. We're ninth. Yeah, we're in a cup final, but Spurs fans are acting like we've won it already. And everyone keeps saying, serial winner, you know, get the violins out, bruv. I don't want to hear it. How's my man saying with chest? My tactics are second to none. We're ninth. What is he talking about? Honestly, I can't bear this guy anymore. I can't.
There's a question.
There's a question here. So, do you think Bale has been given enough chances this season, or has Jose managed him poorly?
That is facts. I respect that question. Do you know what? In the beginning, I was really gassed that we signed Bale because he's one of my favourite ever Tottenham players. Mm-hmm. And you have to say he's been very underwhelming. But as time's gone on, I've come to realise that actually, has he been given enough opportunities? Because when I see players like Bergwijn getting game after game after game, and he is offering nothing going forward, nothing in terms of attacking output, no goals, no assists, and I'm seeing players like Moura stink out the place, has one good game, people get gapped, reverts the type and ends up being shit again, sorry to swear. That's where I have an issue, because I'm like, at the end of the day, what's that saying? Form is temporary, class is permanent. Gareth Bale is not going to turn into some dead player overnight. Just give him a run of games, because the state we're in at the moment, what have we got to lose? Because I'm telling you, I think he should have started that game. He should have started. But this is where I don't get Jose Mourinho. He played him in the Europa League game, got a brilliant goal. I thought, that's vintage Gareth. He's back. I was getting a bit gassed. And he hooks him off after 60 minutes. So I think, okay, cool. He's going to play him in the West Ham game. He don't play him. He said he's not fit. I just don't. He clearly doesn't rate Gareth. But I agree with that question. I don't think he's managed him properly, and I don't think he's been given enough opportunities compared to other players that have, who have not been performing. I think it's really unfair on him. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, you could see in the game when Bale started to when he got on the pitch. Actually, not even, but when he started to get involved, as soon as he got on the pitch, Spurs were a bit more dangerous going forward. I think when you're any team in the Premier League, when you know that the constant threat is going to come from Son or Kane, because regardless of how many times Bergwijn plays or Lucas plays, they ain't got end products or consistent end products. Bale's end product himself, yes, has been very, very up and down, but out of the three, you know who has the most quality. Regardless of how Bale's been the last 2-3 years, regardless of injury problems, when Bale was fit, he starts above the other two. And when he came off the bench, he was instantly the best player on the pitch. Was creating chances, was passing well, was linking up play, wasn't afraid to shoot from distance. So, okay, I mean, we know how Bell's fitness is. Is it a case of as soon as he's fit, you just start him straight away? Because the other two, obviously, I mean, they've pissed you off enough times.
I'm telling you, Burvine, yeah, listen, that guy gets me so bad. Like, people are calling him Burgervine as well. Like, that's a new name that's going around. Because for me, he just don't look fit, man. Like,
Oh, God.
every minute, the excuse is, oh, but his defensive work. What are you talking? Is he a centre back, bro? No, I want to see more attacking, score goals. But anyway, sorry, I keep getting mad here. Let me cool it down. What was your question? Sorry, I've wound myself up.
No, I was just saying. So, as long as Bell's fit every time, is it a case of he must start?
That's it. Yeah, no, for me, he needs to start every game going forward now, I think, because it will also take the pressure off Son and Kane. I mean, Son and Kane, I forgot they even played when we were playing West Ham. It's like they weren't even on the pitch.
I didn't understand why he took Lamella off. I thought he was certainly towards just before the end of the first half. He was the most dangerous, in my opinion, because he was taking the ball from one end and dribbling at our defence, and we couldn't deal with him. And then as soon as they took him off, I thought, actually, hold on, they've kind of taken the teeth away. You know, I didn't understand that. I know Moura got the goal. I think he should have been replaced, or Son really, because they, like you said, they were non-existent. They got marks out of the game.
Yeah, Lamella had a decent game, but the thing with Lamella is I don't get excited when they play well, him and Moura, because they have these performances and then they just go back to their usual selves and just stink the place out all the time. So I don't really get too carried away. Lamella, for me, he should not still be at this football club as far as I'm concerned. But
been there for ages. Who bought him?
AVB, Bell money.
Mr. Bell money, and the funny thing is, Bell's back now, and my guy's still. That is crazy. How is he?
2013, bro. He's been there for a while.
Yeah. And he's not. I don't even think he scored like 20 goals for the club. Real talk.
No, Ricky's put it down to 16.
No, I'm
16.
I swear down he ain't scored 20 goals. I don't think so. But on Kane and Son to me is just shattered. Like, let's be honest, everyone says it. We're a two-man team, and I have to agree with it. You know, when Kane and Son are not performing, who are the other players that are going to step up? We haven't got that player in midfield, like United have a Fernandes. You know, we don't have another player on the wing that can score goals for us. So that's why I just feel like Gareth Bell, he's looking good. Put him in the team now, and hopefully he will take that burden off Son and Kane. That's what I'm hoping for, because like I said, I just think things can't get any worse, can it? We're at a very, very low point right now.
Let's talk about, I imagine, the reason why Tottenham are in such a rut, or maybe one of the main reasons why Tottenham are in such a rut. Jose Mourinho. It seems like a lot of Tottenham fans want him out. I don't think Levy is going to get rid of him, considering the money that he has. I mean, where do you see it going from here? Because Jose isn't going anywhere. So is it realistic for you guys to, not realistic, sorry, let me rephrase that. Is it possible for him to change your minds on the way he approaches games?
To be honest, nothing can change my mind at the moment. I'm just done with the guy. I'm done with him. At the end of the day, this whole argument, it's the players. I wasn't moaning about the players when we were winning games. So what's changed? I genuinely think the performances we're seeing, it's more than a defensive issue at the moment. I'm not seeing the players looking elevated. They don't look motivated. You know, I think he's lost the dressing room to a degree. I think he has. That's just my opinion. And I'm sorry, he's football. Why would you want to play that kind of football? Harry Kane and Son are looking over their shoulders thinking, you know what, I'm off. And I don't blame them. In the summer, I think they should leave because they deserve trophies at the end of the day. And I wouldn't want to stick around under Jose Mourinho. And it's not even about his tactics. Well, it is, to be fair, because the substitutions he's made this season have been absolutely shocking, by the way. Just let's have it right. They've been shocking, some of his decision-making. But it's also his man management. I don't think he's dealt with Dele Alli in the best way. I know some people will say that Dele was declining under Poch. Okay, fair enough. But imagine how he feels now all of a sudden Jose wants to start playing him. He's probably thinking, bro, you didn't even want to play me before. Now you're asking me to come into this team and be the saviour. He's probably thinking, get out of here, man. You should have let me go to PSG. Let me thrive. And then we could have got another player in. But that's the board. Look, I don't want to just blame Jose, although I think he should be sacked, because for me, this run of form can't continue. I tweeted it today. Since we beat Arsenal 2-0, 13 games later, we've won 4, we've lost 7, right? And that's 12 points out of a possible 39. That, to me, is a sackable offence. It's poor. It's absolutely poor. And I know the defence ain't good, but I just think our squad isn't as bad as what we're showing at the moment. It really isn't. We've got a good team. Kane, Son, and Ndombele, Højbjerg, Reguilon. You know, it's not all bad, but it just seems bad because look at where we are on the table. But the board, they have to take responsibility as well. I'm a massive ENIC out, but you can scream that all you want. We ain't getting rid of the board unless someone. I mean, I'm going to start a GoFundMe page because anymore, mate. You know, this is partly their fault as well, because those seasons where they should have backed Poch, those 2 transfer windows we didn't buy a single player where we really should have kicked on, that is costing us now, because we have players that for me should not be in this club still. Ben Davies, Eric Dyer. Poch saw that Eric Dyer was there. That's why he's not included in the team. Toby, I think he's getting on now. I think he's a good centre back, but he needs to go. You know, there's so many players I can name. I think Rice, we've seen the recent games. I think he's been poor. I think we need to move towards a new goalkeeper at some point.
That's your entire defence.
The whole back line needs to be moved on. So that's what I mean. It is difficult to just say it's Jose, but it kind of is at the moment. It's kind of like 60% Jose and 40% the players. And out of all of those issues I've mentioned, which one could we rectify? The manager. And we just have to start with that. And then we have to address the issues with the players in the summer, because they can't go. Like you say, what can we do? We can't get rid of the players. So I think it's worth bringing a manager in, even if it is a manager bounce, right? I would take that right now, because I can't watch this. I can't. It's just soul destroying. And I'm ranting now. I need to shush.
Well, last question. Would you trust any manager or your board if you were to sell Kane and Son with, I imagine, the 170 million that you could probably get for them? Would you trust anybody at that club right now to spend that wisely?
No, that's the thing. I don't trust them. That's the thing. It's not just a Jose issue. The recruitment at this club, it is so bad. It's so bad. And I think Daniel Levy is probably scarred from when we did sell Gareth Bale. The amount of players that we brought in that were just so poor, like your Capuis and your Chadleys, all them, man, they were dead. So the answer is no. I don't trust this board, because we're not a team where, you know, if we do get that amount of money for Kane, which I think we will, because Daniel Levy will make damn well sure of it, because he's just such a shrewd businessman. I can't see us then saying, you know what, let's go and spend 50 mil on a centre-back. He would instead use that 170 mil and buy about 5 players that are worth like 20 mil each. That's the mentality. And that's the problem, is from top to bottom. The club have no ambition whatsoever, in my opinion, because I've said it so many times, the players we could have had at this club is shocking. Could have had Jack Grealish at one point. Oh, but he's too expensive. We offered 5 million and Josh Onoma, one of our youngsters. That's the feeling of like, are you mad? I ain't taking that. And then we could have had Bruno Fernandes. We were linked with Ruben Diaz, heavily linked with him. Didn't happen. So I don't know where we go from here, man. It's peak. It's peak.
I would say it's nice to see a Tottenham fan like this, but I can't chat anything. I can't say anything because I'm in the exact same boat. Southampton won, Chelsea won. Coach, I think you mentioned when you tweeted out that Minamino was that was a great finish from him. Mason Mount with the penalty. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Southampton, who seem to have declined over the recent last few games, or Chelsea? And I don't know, they're toothless. They're toothless approach to games.
I think. Wait, I'll start with Southampton. How am I echoing?
Yeah, I don't know where the echo's coming from.
I don't know. There is an echo, but it is what it is.
Anyway, here we go. All right, so I think I'll start with Southampton. The thing with Southampton is they're very much comfortable in the Premier League right now. So they're not going to get relegated, and not everyone, but a lot of people enjoy the football they play. They enjoy like a mini resurgence. This is what 2 years in a row they've lost 9-0, but they find a bounce back. But they're just doing their thing nicely. The goal they scored was lovely. It was a great through ball from Nathan Redmond, and then for Minamino to have the composure to put both Mendy and Azpilicueta on their asses was just lovely to watch. That's what Eze would call a raw moment. You know what I'm saying? You're like raw. That is crazy. So I loved it. It was beautiful. As for Chelsea, look, I don't know what much there is to say about Chelsea right now because Tuchel is I think it's 2 wins, 1 draw right now. So he's doing okay. He started off decent. All I'll say is this. This is the time for them to start realizing who is and isn't about playing for Chelsea. Tammy Abraham isn't about playing for Chelsea. He's not good enough. He's not levels. Kurt Zuma, despite scoring some good headers at the beginning of the season,
it's their best defender at the start of the season, no? That's what they said.
Well, yeah, well,
he's been down for time.
There was
a time, hasn't he? Since his knee injury.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was a time where Phil Jones was feeling so good, he started taking corners. So, let's not get too excited. Rudiger, I mean, you know how I feel about that guy. I've said it enough times. He's definitely... Huh?
I think
I'd take him over Sanchez, bro. I'd take him over
Sanchez. I mean, yeah. That's Sanchez, though. You know what I'm saying? That's Sanchez.
Yeah.
But Rudiger's not good enough for Chelsea. If for the ambitions that the owner has, because Roman Abramovich is about winning stuff. He's one of the few owners in the Premier League that is genuinely obsessed with winning with his team. And for Tuchel to take that club further to winning accolades, the big accolades again, Rudiger can't be part of that defense. Marcos Alonso is playing well, but there's a reason why he was getting dropped in the first place. So he's another one that can't stay there too long. So there's a lot of players that they will have to ship out. And I think they're going to get to a point where they'll run out of patience with Hakim Ziyech. Because he hasn't played well this year. He's been having injury problems. He's carried on his injury problems from Ajax. He's brought them with him here. He's missed a lot of games. And when he comes into games, he's hardly made an impact. He whips balls into areas even when there's no need to whip a ball in. I think...
Is that down to the strikers not showing any ambition to get into the box? Like you said, Tammy Abraham, you don't think he's good enough for Chelsea. Timo Werner has been missing plenty.
Missing a lot, yeah.
Giroud isn't exactly playing, given any game time. Who would capitalize off of a Ziyech cross, no?
Yeah, but it's a bit of both. If you got the ball on the wing and you look into your area, because you have to have a look before you put the ball in. You don't just put the ball in blindly. If you do, you're just hoping for the best. If you look up and there's no one there, unfortunately for you need to find another option. I'll forgive him if he goes in positions where all he had to do was hit the ball because he didn't want to lose possession.
Is it the mode of right-sided players in the Premier League? No,
there's certain people that lose possession 34 times, but the rest right back in the world. I prefer not to speak. But that's what it is. At the end of the day, that's the harsh reality of football. You'll be criticised for the things that you do wrong on the pitch, and right now he's not doing much right. So he's one he's got the lights on him right now, and it's gonna be an interesting couple of months to see if he can bounce back, get some bit of form in. Because he's a good player. Being in bad form doesn't make you a bad player, but they gotta watch him. But other than that, there's not much to say about Chelsea right now. They're battling for top 4, which is good. They got rid of managers that shouldn't have got the job in the first place. Shout out Uncle Harry. So apart from
watch for that next job as well, to be honest with you. He might be coming to West Ham if David Moyes.
It wouldn't surprise me.
No. I don't want him near us. No, thank you.
But no, he's doing all right. He's doing all right at Chelsea Tuchel. So look, they're just in a decent position right now, and he's not in. I think he's in a position where there's no pressure from now towards the end of the season. Just try and get results, try and get into the top 4, and then go from there. So they do all right.
Mason Mount. I mean, he came under criticism from us a few weeks ago, and the consensus around him was that once Lampard left, he would be out of the team. But looking at it right now, he's easily one of their best players. So what is it? What is it that Mount brings to this Chelsea side, James? That he seems irreplaceable right now.
Well, I mean, I think it's a similar thing to like what Declan brings to West Ham. It's trying to just the want to play football, and I think fundamentally that's what some of the players are missing. Is you take the money out of it, you take all this glam and glitz. It's all about the football, and once a player has that in their mindset, they bring people along with them on that journey, and it's evident. And even if he is going to have minus, like you said, form is temporary. So there might be times where you might look to struggle, but it's the things that he's doing across the board to the other players that are boosting him. So you can't drop him. You can't. It's one of those where he will be like that manager on the pitch. You need those type of players to kind of pick up players who are maybe getting their heads down and need a little boost here and there.
And final question, Tanya. Well, one is are you not looking forward? Is the wrong thing. But Tuchel, is he? Do you have faith that he's going to bring the success to Chelsea that Roman demands or Chelsea fans demand?
I think it's still obviously very early days. I think he still needs to figure out his best team and like what Koja was saying, what players fit into his system and what players he can rely on. But I think with the squad that they've got, I think, he's definitely going to get them close to top four anyway. We'll see. It remains to be seen whether he will or not. But I have faith in Tuchel. I think he'll do a good job. But I thought you were going to mention what he did to Cho, because I didn't watch all of the game.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
When I heard about that, I was like, damn, that is savage. And then I saw his comments after the game saying, he didn't like the fact that he was pressing and he didn't like his attitude.
Yeah.
I was a bit like,
I can't lie.
Things like that, I'm like, ooh.
When I saw him on the pitch, he wasn't lethargic, but he wasn't pressing the way that the other guys were pressing. But there was absolutely nothing wrong with his attitude. I don't understand that comment. That's the one comment I don't understand. The guy loves the club. He works hard when he plays for the team every time. He hardly even gets opportunities like that, if we're being honest. His opportunities are very rare. Every time, Pulisic can be injured for about 6-7 weeks and he can get more game time than Cho. At the beginning of the season and last season as well, Mason Mount was being put in this position. You've got a pure winger that can play on the left or the right, and Mason Mount was put on the left ahead of him. The guy has not got a bad attitude. You can forgive a guy for being frustrated at the lack of opportunities. You can forgive a guy for being frustrated at the fact that now he's been subbed on and subbed off. That's not going to help him at all.
Oh yeah, that's going to do so bad for his confidence. I really, really do think that.
Confidence is one thing, but then again, what does that show to the rest of the team? I mean, he's probably got friends there, and he's probably got some serious allies in that dressing room. I mean, we know the reason why Tuchel got fired at PSG was because he peed off Neymar, he peed off Mbappe. So going into a team like Chelsea, who have a history of player power, was that the smartest? I don't think that was the smartest thing to do that early on in your Chelsea. I feel like that was
no. I think. Do you know where on that is? Isn't he on a short-term contract? So normally, what Chelsea do is they come and go, "Here's a 17-year contract for someone, so I can sack you in about a year." He's now on the He's effectively to the end of the season. So actually, he's got nothing to lose but to drive these players. So in the meantime, he's just solely focused. He's kind of doing the like the Solskjaer effect of when he had the temporary kind of caretaker role. All he's doing is just seeing them through. So whether he does shit or better, ultimately, if he doesn't get the job, it doesn't bother him. He's only got to cover that gap. And what he's trying to do is maybe implement that without having kind of the idea that actually the players will get him sacked. So he needs to try and get them on board now while he still can. Granted, Chelsea do have have that play base. Actually, they can get you sacked, but it's that fine balance, isn't it? It's. I get what you're saying, Kel. You can't piss them off. But at the end of the day, if you're there to manage players, you've got to manage them properly. And you know, like I was saying about the whole West Ham thing, I didn't agree when Moyes took off a player, because certainly I know with Hudson-Odoi, he's that bit older. He's actually had the experience, whereas our player didn't. But you have to understand they've got to win the game at the same time. And if that was a change that he saw that needed to happen, it's kind of the team over the player. So, you know, you'd gun him if you left him on and went, well, he's on the pitch now, leave him to do what he wants. Because let's be honest, a manager can bark and shout, but whatever the player chooses to do, the player chooses to do. So it's whether that change benefited the team in the game.
Yeah,
that's fair. That is fair. We'll move on to Liverpool 0, Everton 2. The decline. Look at your smile, man. You just can't take the smile off your face. It's hilarious, man. Goals from Richarlison and a Gylfi Sigurdsson penalty. Some people, I remember, Semps is gone, but they were mocking me when I said Gylfi Sigurdsson is a decent backup. But hey, here's what it is, man. It was your boy. Say it one more time for the old fans.
Oh, geez, Gylf.
There we go, man.
He used to be my guy. When he was at Tottenham, he was my guy. And I was upset that you guys sold him. I love
really?
Gylf. Yeah,
he's nice. A price tag.
He wasn't special, but
no, because we at Terrace last night. We did a midnight vibe show, and a guy on it, David. Shout out to David, Chelsea fan. He put him in the slander stand, so that basically meant he's a player that really and truly he doesn't rate, and we all kind of agreed with it. I don't know. I feel like Sigurdsson's he's all right, you know. He ain't a world beater.
No, he's not. You don't have to be a world beater to be, you know, rated. I mean, he got sort of like his reputation for set pieces, long range shots with a decent level of assists. Was it Swansea first, wasn't it? Before he went to
Swansea.
So, and at Tottenham, I think for me, at Tottenham, he was a good backup player. When you need someone to come off the bench and just maybe be a set piece threat or something like that. That's why I liked him. I liked him quite a bit. I thought he was quite underrated in that aspect. When I said underrated, I think some people back then thought I was talking about him being like next to your top midfielders in the Premier League. No, the guy's a good footballer. That's what I mean. He's a good footballer. I feel like this deserves a little bit more respect. But hey, Chelsea fan talking about him. I mean, look at Chelsea right now. So let me not even talk too much.
Liverpool,
right?
It's another situation where I don't think I have to ask a question. I feel like you can just your it's not a rant. It's more of a, I don't know what it is.
Gospel.
There you go. Speak your truth, Pastor Kojo.
Pastor Kojo. Okay. No, you know what it is? The way it's about Liverpool is they're right now in a situation where the defense for me isn't the biggest issue anymore. It's the fact that they can't score goals. That's the big problem, because last year we know the defense was, and I say a bit worse in the sense that the year before, when they finished second to City, they were so colossal, and obviously they won the Champions League. In the Premier League, once they had got the league done by, when they lose to Watford, December. After that, it was plain sailing. Let's be honest. It was January, wasn't it? Or January, yeah. So it was plain sailing. It wasn't going to be anything difficult after that. When they came back from lockdown, the tower race was already done. Is what it is. But there has been, in that defense, there has been a drop in form bit by bit. You can talk about Atletico Madrid, and you can talk about Atalanta in the Champions League. You can talk about games in the Premier League where they dropped unnecessary points. And then they started the season, they conceded, with a fully fit team, they conceded 3 goals at home to Leeds. They conceded 7 against Villa, obviously. They haven't been the same colossal defense that you've had, and each of one of them has been culpable one way or another. Even Van Dijk at times. You can go back to the Arsenal game last season where he was complacent. Reece Nelson goals. You can talk about the Villa game. He was shocking in that game, and in the Leeds game. Again, he took a touch in a place where he didn't need to, and Bamford took advantage. Now, the injury, when you lose your best defender and then you lose your next best defender, I understand what he can do. But what has happened this season is Salah is scoring goals. They're not decisive, but he's still getting on the score sheet. But Firmino has carried on his poor form. And Sadio Mane is not the Sadio Mane we've seen. Is
it form?
Okay, listen. All right, listen. He's a good player, isn't it? I know we're a bit triggered because obviously we're told to accommodate him, so Hector Henry has to go to the left so we can accommodate Firmino.
You keep bringing that up. I keep forgetting it, and you just keep bringing it.
I know you forget on purpose because it's bad. I know, but but no, honestly, no. He's lost. He's not been in form for the last year and a half / 2 years. He sort of dropped off, sort of like De Gea. How De Gea's form went from up to here to down there. That's how he's dropped off. And Sadio Mane has not been.
But continue.
And Sadio Mane has not been Sadio Mane. That's the reality of it. And the one player that was in form, like in genuine form, was Jota, and he got injured straight away. So they have been struggling for that in that regard. They've lost 2 of their main midfielders because they had to go into defense, and now they're injured also. Thiago is just not the right fit for that team. If he was at Man City, he would be living life. The fact that he plays for them, I can't lie, I'm enjoying it right now, to be honest. It's funny because has he won a Premier League game yet?
No, is it that bad? No.
I don't think he has he? I don't think he has.
I'm sorry.
That's
I can't.
bad.
I might be wrong, but it might be 1 or 2 at the most, but I genuinely can't remember him being part of a winning team for Liverpool so far. I really can't.
Damn.
Apart from Champions League recently against who did they play? Was it Leipzig recently? Yeah. So see, this is what I'm talking about. They're not convincing, Liverpool. And the thing about it is they went 2 years without any major injuries. That's very rare in football. Simple. Yes. So the fact that it caught up with them. I said this before in here. There were players. I was talking about Liverpool fans. This isn't me bringing anything up. I was talking about Liverpool fans, and they got players that are carrying injuries, but they're still playing. Van Dijk, the injury that he was carrying apparently was to do with his hip. Now, obviously, the injury he got was unrelated to his hip, but regardless, it meant at some point he's going to break down. Joe Gomez is injury prone. Matip injury prone. These are players you can't rely upon to be fit. And the fact that they spent that money on Kabak, a player playing for Schalke, if you want to go and watch Schalke defend in that league, and you go and sign him to improve your defensive situation,
who's he? I don't. What's he going to give them?
Absolutely. His first game, look at the calamity him and Alisson did. That
was more down to Alisson, to be honest.
It was Alisson's fault. But the part of it comes down to communication also. When you're a new player, you know what your keeper's doing. Look, I'm just saying this. I feel like what's happening to Liverpool right now is it was bound to happen. You always have your drop-off. Football works in circles or in rounds or whatever it's called. And this is their time. They had a bit of their time in the sun again, but it's come crashing down fast. Jurgen Klopp has a history of this. It happened at Dortmund. He won 2 league titles in a row. Then next year, and then the next year he had a shocking season. And that's when he announced that he was leaving because he was done there. It was a done deal. Exactly. So this is what Mourinho calls football heritage. That's why I keep bringing up that phrase now, because all the time there's heritage showing itself.
Don't say his name. He's Voldemort. His name. Okay?
So no, look, Liverpool are struggling with the injuries, and they're struggling with a lack of goals going forward as well. So it's right now from top to bottom, it's just not looking good. And to have a run of 3 years at home unbeaten in the league, to losing your last 4 at home,
that's crazy.
It is poor. It's absolutely poor.
Crazy.
So,
with that in mind, Tanya, can you feel any sympathy for the situation that Liverpool find themselves in because of the injuries, because of
get the virus? No. Do you know what? Look, I can sympathise with them because we had this crisis last season. We had some of our key players out, and I think that did jeopardise us getting top 4. But it goes back to what Kojo was saying. I think it is bigger than the injuries now. And I kind of am a bit bored of the constant excuse, it's injuries. But at the end of the day, I think they're massively suffering from burnout. They've played at such a high intensity for season after season. It's bound to catch up with them eventually. And I have always secretly said this. I won't say it on my own podcast because I have Mark. Shout out to Mark, he's a Liverpool fan. And I feel like I can't really say what I really feel because I just get insulted. But I feel like they've been quite lucky You know, it isn't normal to not have that many injuries 2 seasons going. This was always going to happen. And I don't know, I just feel like sometimes Liverpool fans, they bury their head in the sand. You can't say nothing bad about Klopp. You know, I think he's also to blame as well, but you can never criticise him. And then you can't criticise their owners. Apparently their owners are amazing. Well, no, they're not, because I feel like they should have invested more in their squad. When you're looking at City and Chelsea, look, I know it's unfortunate, not everyone has their money, but that's just how the cookie crumbles in the league now. You've got to add to what is already a quality team to sustain a league. That's just how it works, and they didn't do that. Yes, they brought in Jota, and I think that has been a big miss for them. Jota was playing really, really well for them, so that's unlucky, but I don't think it was enough. I mean, Salah and Mane, they just look, they don't look the same, and they don't look the same Liverpool. They really don't. But I'm kind of enjoying it, to be honest.
There was talks of that was it the Nike deal? They were gonna.
Yeah.
It makes them the highest sponsored team in the Premier League from their brand, their kit brand. Yeah. So they had all that money as well. I mean, COVID obviously hit, so that there's that thing to say, but. I remember a whole bunch of Liverpool fans demanding or expecting them to go on this transfer spree because of the money that Nike bought in, and it just hasn't.
Well, but what I always heard from Liverpool fans is that, but who's going to come in and replace Salah? Who's going to come in and replace Mane? You know, they're always going to start. It's like, I just feel like that's a weak mentality. That's a weak mentality. City, they've got Cancelo in, and they've got Kyle Walker. They've got what's his face? Ake is their 4th choice centre back. Yeah. Like, this is the difference here, you know. Anyway, I'm glad Liverpool. I'm still scarred from Champions League finals, so I kind of have
Let's talk about Everton because they did actually win the game and they played really well. James, let's go to you in this one because I mean they're the closest to you in terms of overtaking in terms of Champions League spot because Arsenal and Tottenham aren't in it. I think Man United are pretty safe in the Champions League. Is it a case because I think they got a game in hand, and if they win that game in hand, they tie points with Chelsea and then they're 2 points behind you. Is it a case? Can you make the case that Everton are a team that could easily sneak into the Champions League spot?
Oh, most definitely. Look what I mean. If you look at their manager, Ancelotti, you know, I don't need to speak anymore on him because everyone's aware of what he can do. And I think what separates this Everton from kind of the Everton of a couple of years ago is it's been smart investments. You look at who they've brought in and the caliber they brought in. It's not just some overpriced individual. Look at Hammers, what he's done. You know, as soon as you hear that name, as a West Ham, I was excited to see him in the Premier League. I don't care what anyone says. I was, you know, after that World Cup, you want to see that guy in this league. You don't want to see him in Spain. Fuck Spain. Let's be honest. You want to reinforce. No, but you want to reinforce that the BPL is the best league in the world, and the only way to do that is if that preference players choose the BPL over any other league. And obviously, yes, if we get more European success, that would just only enhance it. But when you've got players like that who actively choose, you know what, Real Madrid ain't for me. Whilst I'm not playing, I'd rather play football. And I just look at their team, and I really like their team. I like who they've got. I like how they play. I don't necessarily like Jordan Pickford, but that's my own personal thing. I think it's more his ego.
We don't like.
Yeah, I think it's more.
That one.
I think it's. I love football, but when it comes to certain individuals, you just like, I prefer if you weren't playing it. It's like there's so many. How many fouls does he have to commit to actually get carded?
I know.
Do you know what I mean? How many legs does he have to break for that to be an assault? But you know, apparently he can get away with it, and I think that team is more well equipped than West Ham currently ever be to accommodate Champions League football. And I think their owners will, if they get that kind of Champions League, maybe worst case Europa, I think they actively recruit in the summer, and I think it will only just support them going forward. And I think their setup is right. I think the Koeman era was a bit risky, but you know, normally when things like happen, they go, actually, no, we're going to cut spending. We're kind of let's kind of get back to normality, get a few positives in the cash flow, and then reinvest. No, they've kind of said, look, that wasn't necessarily the right thing, and now they're actually looking to kind of build on that rather than go and let that define what they are doing going forward. And all right, yeah, they've had minor slip-ups, but bear in mind this team has only really come together this season, so it would be harsh to say that they should be performing at 100% all the time. Things like when Calvert-Lewin, let's be honest, when you see his goal records for the season prior, you wouldn't necessarily think he was going to hit the heights he's hit, but he's hitting them, and you just got to carry on with that. And the fact that he's out injured and he's coming off the bench and he's able to play an active role says where this team's going. It's only going up, which it's actually enjoyable to watch. And I've got nothing really bad to say about Everton, bar fuck Pickford, to be honest.
Fair enough. We'll move on to Manchester United 3, Newcastle 1. Goals for Marcus Rashford, Daniel James, and Bruno Fernandes. And Alexander Maximin.
Sound like a hater.
It's the truth, bro. You can't hate if you tell the truth. Everybody expected United to get the 3 points from this game. It kind of was elementary. Alan St. Maximin scored a very nice goal, but then again, that was Harry Maguire's fault for that poor clearance. I mean, we discussed him before, but let's focus on the positive. It's good to see Marcus Rashford get on the score sheet, considering your criticism of him.
Yeah, it's more to do with his decision making. The guy's a talented footballer. The guy's really good, but sometimes his decisions on the pitch. I mean, how many times in the last, let's say 30 games, has he had a chance where he's able to shoot, but he does like a chop, and then he sort of doesn't beat the other player, then he gets into a position where it's tough to shoot. It's very frustrating to watch him sometimes because when he's on his game and he just makes the right choice, 9 times out of 10 he's hitting the back of the net or he's creating a chance out of nothing. The guy's obviously very good, so I want him to go from for me, in terms of decision making, he's 4 out of 10. I need him to be at least a 7. You know what I mean? That's why I say that's the thing that stops him from being. Right now, he's good, potentially great. If your decision making with the ability that you have is of a top level, it can make you go from great to potentially world class. Those are the margins. So
is it unfair to demand something of him? Because yes, we've seen him since he was 18. I don't know. I think he's like 23 now, something like that. So is it unfair because of his age to demand that he has a killer instinct at this age? No,
because I think when you're 18 to 21, those are your developmental years, and that's when you make sure you have your place sort of certified by the age of 21 in the first team. If you're younger and you're supremely talented, you are there from the jump. He's done that. He's done that with ease, comfortably. There's nothing wrong with him. But it's just the decision making. I don't criticize his technical ability. I don't criticize his intelligence on the pitch. I don't criticize how he uses his skill and how he uses his pace. But when it comes to the end product, the final third, the end product, when it's about finding the right pass or finding the right time to shoot, you need to make the right choice at the right time most of the time. You're not going to do it all the time. No one does it all the time. You can't. It's impossible. Otherwise, you'd be the greatest player ever, undisputed. You can't. There's no argument. But if he can just make it a 7 or 8 out of 10 most of the time, then I'm good, because I know from what I've seen of him, I know what he's capable of. And we've all seen it. When he's on his game and he makes the right choice within the game most of the time, he kills his opponents. There's hardly anyone that can touch him on that left side. So I just want him to just focus on trying to add that little bit of detail to his game a lot more, because in this game, when he beat the player, went forward, the same player came back, beat him again, and shot a Dow's near post. He realized that post wasn't there, so he got into the back of the net from that tight angle, and that's what I want, because that's decision making. That's really good.
The goalkeeper could have done better with that goal.
Oh yeah, he could have absolutely done better. But the one thing I say is, I feel like for sometimes it's difficult for goalkeepers to save the shots that are the near post that go through their legs. If it's a direct shot at you, you have to do better. But when it goes through the legs, it's a bit of a dodgy one. You're not sure how it's going.
And how many times, normally, if you think from a player, how many times do they look to go for that far post? It's just natural because it's the most exposed post to go for. So to literally come back on yourself, the goalie's already probably shuffling to the left anyway. He's not expecting it. And to be honest, the power he got behind that, if that was any softer, he would have saved that. It's because of the power he's got. It's just gone straight in.
Exactly, it's a great effort. So I'm happy with him. For me, this is not an episode to even criticize him. And what I'm saying is not to disrespect him. For me, it's like constructive criticism. It's like, you know what you're good at, so bring it more to the table. You know, maybe study your game a little bit more, and you're there. Because you're obviously a brilliant footballer. I can't question how good you are. I just want you to add that little bit that takes you from here to here, and then no one can question you. I can't come and chat rubbish. You know what I'm saying? So he played well.
Would you say that he continuously plays like he has to do everything himself? Like the weight of expectation is always on his shoulders, that he doesn't want to share the burden? Because if you're in that mentality, that's going to dictate your decisiveness, because you're thinking, well, I can't trust my teammates, that I've got to do this. And maybe, I know he did that, well, obviously, when he was starting to hit the scenes, because he needed to demonstrate that he can play at this level. And like you said, he doesn't need to do that anymore. He's established in the team. He isn't like last on this team sheet. He's probably arguably one of the first. So now he just needs to like elevate and, like you said, make the right choices to bring his teammates to the same level. Do you think it is because he plays with that on his shoulder, perhaps?
This is where I sympathize with him. Anyone that watches United, the lack of movement in that team is disturbing. It's like, you know, like I'm gonna go away from coaching for 1 minute. Even in PE in school, if you played football, you were told to pass and move. That's the basics of the game. Rashford, Martial, Bruno Fernandes, Daniel James, all of them, they don't pass and move. The only two people that pass and move are Mata and Pogba. No one else passes and moves. Everyone passes and sticks. And that's frustrating, because how are you going to create chances? How are you going to get runs in behind if you get the ball to feet, pass it, and then don't move for a good 2 seconds before you think, oh, wait. When Rashford had the ball on that left side, you go back to the replays. Bruno jogged into the box and stopped. No moving to the left, not trying to he's opponent. Martial's at the far post, standing in one spot. Like, these are people that need goals as well. Bruno Fernandes has got a lot of goals this year so far. He's done well. But someone like Martial, who scored, I think, 3 league goals this year, 7 goals overall, next to Scott McTominay, I'm always going to put that out there so people understand how bad he's been.
Mad.
Like, you need goals. The one thing I am begging for you to do is move. So, and Rashford's capable of the same thing as well. I'm not trying to, take anything away from him. He does it as well. So we lack movement. So when you have the ball on that side, no one's moving for him. And that's where I feel a bit of sympathy, because when you have the ball on that left side, the one thing you want to do is create something or, do something. And if you want to create something for yourself, it's better if your players are now making moves so that defenders have to think, oh, wait, do I go and chase that guy? Or do I stick with you and let that guy go? It makes it difficult for them. But if your players don't do that, then you have to create something out of nothing, like he did on the weekend. But on the other side, he's also another player that doesn't move too much either. So, it's just a thing where everyone is... That comes down to a bit of the players, that comes down to a bit of the coaching. But at the same time, I do sympathize with Ole also, because Ole was heard on TV saying, Anto, movement, show some movement. He's making his players to move, use your legs. Your legs they function well. Use them, So look, I sympathize with him in that aspect, because I feel like he's actually the most potent forward we have. And he needs a better caliber of talent around him to maximize his potential. So it's a double-edged sword. As much as I say he should do better with his decision making, his teammates don't help him. They really don't, and they make life difficult for him.
Anybody here think it's that the criticism labeled Ole labeled, is it? No, the criticism of Ole is a bit unfair, considering that he's consistently getting them top 4.
I don't know with Ole. Like, I'm always changing my mind about him. Like, last season, I just thought, you know what, he did get you guys third, and I thought, okay, fair enough. But I don't know. I'm just like, I'm on the fence with him. Like, I genuinely don't know what to make of the guy. I don't know. I just don't see him as United manager long term, though. I just don't see it. He because there's been certain games where I feel like tactically he's got it wrong. Sometimes he picks, like, he's obviously loves Lindelof and Maguire, but I don't know why he loves that partnership. But look where you are on the table. You can't really criticize where you are right now. You're getting the results, and that's the main thing. That's the main thing. But
I think it feels.
Sorry.
Go on, Tanya. No, go for it.
I know that some United fans, you know, they're gutted that they didn't get poached. You know, there is that divide in the fan base.
Don't point at me. Don't worry. Chill. You guys go down. I'll explain my posh thing soon. I'll explain.
I don't know with Ollie, I don't know, like he just reminds me of a lollipop man. Like I don't know, I can't take him serious.
Yeah.
Serious, like when he did the press conference, he's like, "Oh, Rashford, you know, we're being well." I'm just like, "Nah, I can't."
Yeah, I support Tanya on this. It feels like when you was talking about Ollie screaming at Martial, I was just thinking, if he was your gaffer, would you be taking him seriously? Let's be real. I think he's got too much of a nice guy persona, and maybe we don't. Maybe he separates that, so we don't actually see the Mr. You know, the horrible, or maybe more direct in your face. But certainly, everywhere you see him in the press is Mr. Nice Guy, and you think, and how he wins games, like because it's so bipolar. It's kind of like he's winning, or you are where you are unintentionally. Yeah. He just doesn't look like. He just looks like you just stumbled there, and you can't fault it. It's working, but how long can you keep it up? Because
it's not sustainable.
Let's be honest, like you're saying, you got players kind of freeloading. I really still don't know to this day what Fred does. I watch him thinking, you know, he's meant to be. Yeah, I mean, look, I can see it in your face, Michael. It's a pain, but the fact is, he's starting. I'm looking at it. You know, you look at something like Martial. Let's be honest. I don't need to say anything. Why is he starting? He doesn't want. Like, you tell me he wants to be this striker. Now you tell me. If I'm there fighting to be striker, you think I'm going to not run? I'm going to run my fucking ass off until I have no legs. If my manager's telling me I have to run, you should be slinging him off. That is the way you should be on and go, look, put Greenwood on. Put someone who's willing to match Rashford's energy on us, to play with him. At the moment, you've got 10 men minimum every game if you've got Martial at top.
This is gospel. This is the word of the Lord.
Like, I could probably do bits for Man United, and let's be honest, I'll probably get a stitch in 5 minutes. Like the fact is, he doesn't want to be there, and like most players, they kind of play their socks off to get a move elsewhere. I don't know what he's doing really. He's got a resting bitch face constantly, and you're like, all right, you want this, you want that, but you ain't showing nothing. You're not doing anything. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that's the thing. If you've got other players that want it more, play them. Fuck for like egos. Fuck price tags. All right, yeah, you came from Monaco. You did bits against fucking Liverpool about, you know, whatever it was when you first got in the league. But that's done. You ain't giving me nothing to show me that actually you should start over anyone else in the team. But like you said, that's the problem is managers don't have that power, because suddenly he does that. Let's be honest. Who knows? Martial might have a player base behind him, and then there's a huge upset. The problem is we don't see that. We can see, all we see is an underperforming player who shouldn't be playing, who's playing.
Yeah, facts.
But yeah, no, I agree with Tanya. It's just, I don't know what to make of Ollie. I don't hate him because he's not a hateable character.
No.
But I sit there and I go, well, you kind of stumbled your way, got bits here, and then there was that period of when you were losing heavily and you thought, okay, that's just him gone. Now they're going to bring in a proper manager. Then he kind of brought it back in, and you're like, well, you can't sack him now. Like he's a nice chap. I don't hate him. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is.
That's it, literally.
There is. I think, as far as the board is, because I don't think our board is ambitious in terms of they spend a lot of money. They spend heavy money, but it's never on the right target. I can't remember the time where we had genuinely, I mean, apart from Bruno now, genuinely really transfer where you can say it's been a success, where it's been an outright success, where there's no questions asked, where there's no, I don't know if this guy's done well. There's Wan-Bissaka, for example, some people call him a success. I wouldn't call him a failure. I don't think anyone call him a failure. But sometimes you look at him and you say, are you even the right fit for United? Because Solskjaer was talking about having 2 attacking fullbacks and, you know, pressing from the front and all that.
He's not that. AWB is not an attacking foot. He's very quick. He can tackle Jesus. He's that good. But when it comes to actually playing across, I'm telling you, he's someone. Like, I watch him, and you're like, he's recovered. Like where he's messed up, he's recovered so well. He should have no right to be getting back, but he does. But then the problem is when you play him in a play style where you've got fullbacks pushing. If you can't cross the ball, he's kind of a pointless individual going forward, and that's the problem. The problem is you talk about recruitment. The fear there is you probably have no trouble getting recruitment, but you've got so much dead wood there. You need to clear them out before you can actually bring anyone in, because there's a lot of probably high wages there that are eating into your ability to bring in someone good.
If I start on the wages, I'm going to be here a long night. Trust me.
I'm just looking at the team that played against Newcastle, and I'm like, Maguire, I know for a fact is not worth 80 million. Like you don't have a commanding centre back to save your life, like literally,
bro.
And then go for it.
What is about Maguire? Is if you want to spend 80 million on someone, whether I like it or not, you're going to do it anyway. Innit? I ain't got an issue. But in football, everyone knows with big transfers, you always do things in installments. You don't always drop a good 80 million out flat, unless you're Manchester United. You decided. And I don't know if they do their banking through lawyers or nationwide or anything, but they did. They clearly did some internet banking and said, "You log in, scan your face, and type in 80.000.000 and send that straight to Leicester. Here's the sort code. Here's everything. Boom, you dropped 80 million flat. Yeah, you signed Martial for 50-something million pounds." But even that wasn't installments. You paid 30 something up front, and then the rest was based on if he wins Ballon d'Or. I don't know which Ballon d'Or they were talking about, and other sort of, whatever. You're scoring goals as well. I think he only just went past 50 for United last season or something.
Wow.
Like, when you're making such a big transfer, you need to make sure it's the right choice, and he clearly wasn't the right choice. But in terms of Ole, quickly, for me, it's like this. I will praise him for this. He has got us to second place. Regardless of whether we're playing good or bad or attractive football, we are getting results. There's not much to complain about there.
Yeah.
On the other side, he has cleared a lot of players that we didn't want to be there. Cool. But then again, for squad selection, you say you want to play attacking fullbacks. You got Wan-Bissaka, who's one fullback, not attacking, but he's a fullback. Cool. But then you loan out Dallo, who is an actual attacking fullback, and keep Timothy Fosu-Mensah, who's no longer at the club. Decision making is all over the gaff.
All over the gaff, mate.
All over the whole damn gaff. You tell Martial, you keep begging him to move every game, but you keep starting him. Doesn't make sense. His selection choices in midfield are inconsistent. You don't know if it's going to be Matic and Pogba, Fred and McTominay and Pogba. You don't know what it's going to be. And on top of that, to top it all off, that Champions League knockout from the group is gonna be tainted on him for a while, because there was no reason why we should have needing a point. There's no reason why we shouldn't have qualified. That's as simple as it gets. So look, I think for him to be kind of having the fans satisfied this season, he needs second place. He needs it. Second place, and if you can get FA Cup, we're still in FA Cup. If you can get FA Cup or Europa League, we'd call that a successful season. I think that's fair to say. Second place behind a team that pretty much no one's going to touch from now to the end of the season, and finishing with a trophy, I want to be mad. Second place with no trophy, I'll be quite satisfied. That's an improvement on last year in the league, and we haven't won anything with him yet anyway, so that's just simple, pretty much normal procedure. But you need to finish second. If by anyhow we drop out of this top four, this podcast will have a lot of expletives. I will break something live on this podcast. I will go mad, because there's no reason why United should be finishing out of the top four right now. But then again, it's still close. It wouldn't surprise me if they did. So let's hang on. If we finish 5th or below, the guy better get the hell out of here.
I think that is a perfect place to wrap up on. Don't you?
No. We again.
I think it's great to wrap on that game. No. What am I missing? I'm missing something, right? Am I missing? I don't think I'm missing.
The guy that came in after good evening.
Oh no.
Obama who?
Oh,
What?
wow. Wow. All right. Then. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 1. Raheem Sterling.
Why do you sound so stressed?
You know why I'm stressed, man. It's disgraceful. You know, I don't want to say anything on this because it's just upset. Right, I'll get you guys to speak on it. Raheem Sterling should Raheem Sterling, who came out on live TV and said that he's 5'7.5", be scoring a header against Rob Holding and Hector Bellerin? Anybody want to answer that question?
I mean,
I'll go to all of you actually. Yes or no?
Who's first?
No.
Yeah, no, he shouldn't.
It's disgraceful. I feel like I'll just to say my piece on this whole game. I feel like City disrespected us heavily, considering that they just didn't get out of. They just didn't. It didn't look like they tried. They didn't try one bit, and we gave them the game. After that one goal went in, it was a wrap, and they knew it.
You can't blame City for that. Like that's the thing. You out here making it like City didn't come out second. Why should they? At the end of the day, you get your goal. Arsenal should be up in their gear to bring it to them. And if you don't, why are we going to risk injuries? Why are we going to go overboard and risk our players? We got the game. We got our dub. We're out of here. And you can't blame City. I would do the same. Like, if they're not going to want it, have a kick about, lads. That's what I'd say.
I think from an Arsenal perspective, I mean, I tweeted this out when there was the second half or the end of the first half. I thought, you know what? You're lucky that it's only 1-0. Yeah. And you should take that as a positive. And I was expecting you to take a bit more risk, go for it. At the end of the day, some Arsenal fans are saying they're happy that it wasn't a 3-0, but I think you should have gone for it. I think Man City, they didn't have their scoring boots on, to be honest. I thought they were quite poor at times in the final third. If you actually just took it to them a little bit more, I think you could have got at least a draw, which I think is progress, considering you haven't beaten City. I mean, I don't know how long it's been, but
4 games at home, I think. We haven't beaten 4 games at home.
I mean, that's a missed opportunity, in my opinion. You're not going to get a City like that again, because I just don't think they, like you say, they didn't really need to get into second gear. It's a bit disappointing, I think, from an Arsenal perspective. And Aubameyang, I mean, like I said, Obama who? Because was he playing? Was he there?
I don't think he must have been in dream mode. I don't know where he was.
What I'm asking from Arsenal is when you play City, do not concede in the first 5 minutes ever again. Because
we've been conceding for the like, who did we concede against last time? In like the first 3 or
I can't remember.
It's a history of Arsenal. We concede early and we just have to fight to get back into games. I don't know, man. I just don't know. I don't want to.
Can I ask you a question though? Like, what do you think about Arteta now? Because you've got Benfica next. If you lose that game, do you feel like the fan base is going to turn on Eckering again? Is the fan going to turn on him again, do you think?
I don't think the turning went away. I just feel like we got a few games here and there, but I'd say the majority of people knew, maybe not a majority, but knew that this form was temporary. We knew that the crap was going to come back, and it came back with a bang. I mean, the Benfica game leading into Manchester City, like that Benfica game, we were poor. Then we were poor against City, and it seems like in order to get into form, we have to have like a run of 3 or 4 games where we're extremely bad. Because the Leeds game, we played fantastic, but we conceded 2 goals, which we shouldn't have done. But I just can't. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel for Arsenal because Arteta is not the guy that's going to take us anywhere. I feel like, which I said before in a previous episode, do what you're doing right now. Just drain the swamp, and then once you drained it, jump in after them because it's trust the process.
Who's going to win it though?
Who's going to win it? What's the process? What's the plan? Tell me what the plan is on the field. Show me what it is so I can get behind something because I can't get behind anything with this Arsenal team right now.
It's pretty much Tierney and go. Give the ball to Tierney and go.
Which was under Emery.
Yeah.
People are giving Arteta more time. It's like, what? We're 10th.
That's
10th.
They're actually
It was
10th.
fifth under Emery, you know.
It's about egg. It's egg on their faces. The board, they do the same thing. Go, look, this is unacceptable. Scrap Arteta. It's like, well, look, there's another one you fucked up, and it makes them look like they don't know what they're doing. They're trying to save face.
They don't
It's
know
kind
what
of
they're doing.
it's a similar thing with Poch and Jose. When I think Match of the Day looked at the stats, and
Yeah.
Poch arguably had the better. His last 50 games was better than Mourinho. But you can't then you sack it and then do it again. That's Chelsea's thing. They sack managers for fun, you know.
And
That's not everyone else.
For
Yeah,
past
but also Chelsea throw money like it's no man's business. But then again, you've got a different type of owner, which obviously you've had for a number of years, and that's not going to change. Let's be honest, whether you want it or not.
I mean, we throw money about nonsensically as well. I mean, I feel like, yes, you can have your say on the Kroenkes and that they don't spend like Manchester City, they don't spend like Chelsea, but they spend money. We spent 100 million on 2 strikers in one window, not one window, but in one season.
They spend to maintain. They spend to maintain. That's all it is. It's to keep what they've currently got going alive. They'll probably spend in the next summer because obviously, as you can see, the squad's not good enough to keep you. Well, at the moment, it's not good enough to keep you top 10. So at the moment, that measure is basically he wants top 4 just to keep that cash flow going. So he will spend, and it will look like, oh well, this is a new ownership, and then it will happen again. You will maintain 4th, and then the tap will be turned off. And then that, I was gonna say, that's the sad reality of what happens at Arsenal.
I don't know if they will spend. I worry about Arsenal because potentially you're looking at another season where you're not going to be in the Champions League. And I just think season after season, that is going to affect you financially at some point. Like, regardless if you have the money or not, that is going to affect you. So, I don't know. It's weird, man, what's happening with Arsenal, man. It's crazy. I never thought that this would be
I think Arsenal United are in the same boat of they lost their identity as soon as they lost their managers. Because if you have 2 men,
but we didn't lose our manager. He decided to wash his.
No, but it was always going to happen. Let's be honest. The geezer weren't 40. It was a matter of time, and I think both teams should have looked to the future a bit more, and I think they should have planned for it a lot better than they did. And I think Man United are managing it better now after being hit with Moyes, whereas Arsenal have never quite kind of grasped it and gone, okay, this is what we need to do to kind of get back on track, and it's only going down, and it's just sad, to be honest.
I have faith in Arteta though. Like, I actually think he's a good manager. I know that
I have faith in Mourinho then.
No. Arteta, yeah, he's at least tried to change things. Like when things were bad and he was losing to teams like Burnley, Aston Villa, and all of that, he brought in Smith Rowe, and it kind of kicked you guys on. I do think there's a coach in there. I really do think there is.
Yeah, maybe a coach, but not a head coach.
Well,
yeah, exactly that.
No, but what? That's the thing. I don't know. You've had quite a few managers now, so it's kind of like I would personally stick with Arteta, but just back him more in the summer.
He's not going anywhere. I feel like everybody knows he's not going anywhere because if there's one thing, the board back him tremendously because of what they did in the summer in terms of making him manager instead of head coach. So they see something in him. So as a fan base, we should know he's not going anywhere anytime soon. But to say that there's a good coach in there, or a head coach or a manager, prove it.
I think it's more he should not have got that position because at the moment he's basically getting his work experience here at Arsenal. It's not that he's a bad coach. It's one of those where he needs time to develop his coaching abilities, which he hasn't done before. You know, he's always played second fiddle. It was like he might be the right coach, but it's not right now. But the problem is because you've made that decision, you kind of have to live with it. But the problem is the way you're going is not necessarily the right way either because commercially it's going to come a point where, like Tanya's saying, it's not going to make any more sense. And you might have to sever ties with a manager that could be a great fit. So maybe actually what should have happened was you filled the gap with someone else, you know, even if it kind of steadied the ship, allowed you to kind of get things moving, kind of got back to the Arsenal that we kind of knew, kind of consistently getting top 4, that will keep bringing in the players. Because at the moment, you argue, who the hell was going to want to go to Arsenal? Not necessarily because the team is a negative feeling. Yeah. And I've said it before, like someone like Eddie Howe, I've always wanted at West Ham. I liked what he's done what he did at Bournemouth. Whilst yes, he's not the big name that you want, he's a manager who's managed before.
James, no.
Right.
No.
Why not?
James, what I'm saying is this: if you had Eddie Howe, you will not be seeing fourth right now. Nowhere near it,
bro.
Well, at the moment, they're nowhere near it either, and they got who they wanted. So I'm saying, all I'm saying was,
hey, I can't argue.
They should have got Ancelotti. You need that type of manager. I don't know why you didn't go for him, but it's not Arteta's fault that he's been appointed. At the end of the day, you got to look to your board for that.
Of course, it's not. But you are where you are now.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. We are so bad, but Arsenal are so much worse.
Damn.
I can't even argue with that, you know. I can't.
Look, Kale, it's fine. There's certainties in life, death, taxes, and the fact that everyone universally hates Spurs. So you're good, man. You see that? No one disputed that.
Honestly.
No. I'll give you praise. You know what? I like teasing Spurs fans because they just do it to themselves. Like, they do it themselves.
To me, I'm sorry. I can't allow it.
Oh, I mean, it hurts, but you know, how's ninth?
Oh,
yikes!
Oh,
damn. West Ham.
I can't see you from up here.
You know? What did he say?
I can't see you from up here. West Ham, you know. That's
West Ham.
The thing is, I know this ain't gonna be a consistent thing, but the thing is, Spurs fans will bite. I'm out here with my fishing rod and I'm reeling and I'm catching big ones. and the thing is, they will always bite. Other fan bases, they kind of go, yeah, whatever. Spurs fans, they always bite. Got them nibbles out.
I think on that note, we should wrap it up. James, where can they find you?
To be honest, it's irrelevant. I'm not. You know, as much as I'm socially fluent. Pipe down ninth, all right? You grab that bottle.
Down ninth, yikes.
The thing is, you'll finish above us, but the fact is, the damage is done now. That's all that matters.
Damn.
It don't matter where they can find me. I'll be about. There really isn't. I'm not a social influencer like you lot, so I'm here for the bag.
Bruv.
Hey, look, you lot got. I probably got about 5 followers in total, so you got more than me. I leave it to you, lot, not me.
Tanya, where can they find you?
So you can find me on Twitter at Tanya_Leona. You can find me on We'll Talk About It Later podcast, footballing podcast I've got with 3 other boys. Weekly episodes every Wednesday, and you can just find us on Twitter and Instagram at @TottenhamOfficial. And you can find me on the Football Terrace because I'm on that Tottenham show every week. So yeah, check that out.
Coach, where can they find us?
You can find us right here on YouTube at 3inMidfield Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at 3inMidfield, as well as SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify 3inMidfield. Shout out my boy, JLingz. James, I can't lie, the air up here smells good, doesn't it? It smells fresh.
100%.
You know what? Let me just do one more thing before we go. Hold on, just 1 second. There we go. That's good.
Yeah, I knew something was off. You know that I knew something was off.
It wasn't right. It wasn't right. Yeah, there's something going on. Yeah,
that's disrespectful, bro. That is
I'm doing a JLingz with you. I'm doing a JLingz with you.
This has been another episode of the 3before podcast. Good night.